Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress Video, and I'm doing another pick a pile reading today. This one has a theme, so I'm going to kind of explain the theme and let you look at the piles and decide while I'm sort of setting up the space here. So the theme today is, let's see, do we want to use... I think we want to use the lighter, light the candle first. So I don't set my gloves on fire. Good. So the theme today is kind of reclamation of womanhood, healing our relationship in a patriarchal society to being a woman. I want to say that this reading could be for anyone, but I think it's probably not going to resonate with cisgender men. I think I think that this will resonate with anyone that has ever been, that has dealt with expectations of femininity, whether you're a trans man, a trans woman, even a cisgender man that does drag, or that has kind of cross-dressed in some way in your life and been drawn to femininity, or been made fun of for presenting in a female way, or in a girlish way, in a womanly way. I'm going to be using those terms like female, feminine, girl, woman, in a way that I'm not meaning to sound exclusionary. But anyway, I think that this reading will relate to cisgender women, will relate to cisgender men that dress in drag or have been seen in feminine ways and maybe made fun of for being feminine. If you're a cisgender man throughout your life, it will relate to trans women and trans men, anyone basically that has been in a female space identity-wise at some point in their lives, whether other people saw them that way or they saw themselves that way, or both. And I'm going to use this pixie dust glitter and just like anoint everything. Yes. Oh yeah. I've had this little bottle of pixie sparkle, like all the lettering is coming off, since I was like a teenager. Basically, you know, in our society, it's not okay to be a woman. There's just so much misogyny in our society. And being that we're about to head into 2020 is an emperor year, which is sort of a divine masculine, I think we're going to be healing our relationship to femininity in a way. We have been for a while now. I should have sprayed this before I did the glitter, but spray some Florida water. And, you know, this is going to be a little bit about healing trauma. It's going to be about healing fragmentation of our identities within female identities within patriarchal society, all that stuff. I'm wearing gloves. I thought it might be fun. Hopefully I might take them off if I can't like grip the cards properly and stuff. And we're also going to light this little purple spell candle, sugar and spice and everything nice, right? So this is spice, incense matches. Hopefully I can light it with the gloves on. And we're going to set our intention with our little purple spell candle here as, getting caught on my gloves, as healing, sort of reclaiming ourself. I might just light it with, it's always hard to light it with the back. I might just light it with this candle here instead. And so with this candle, the spell candle, I will, as in any time I use a spell candle, I always, oh, and I didn't like anoint it yet. Let's do that. I always burn it until it is completely burnt out. So we'll do a couple of drops of this purification oil just on the top. Maybe do a little bit of glitter on the top too. What do you say? So it'll kind of stick to the oil maybe. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, get that a little bit more in frame here. So you can pick any of these piles based on just which one you're drawn to in general. This one will be, they all have the same oracle cards associated with them, but they have different tarot decks. So there'll be 3 cards from each tarot deck. This one is Modern Witch. Pile 2 is Moonchild Tarot, and pile 3 is Moon Power Tarot. I chose charms to sit on top of them, kind of based on the themes that came up with the selection of cards. So this is a rose quartz pendant, and if you like this wire wrapping, isn't it gorgeous? My mom made it. She has a Facebook, she does like custom pieces and all kinds of different stuff. So basically she's very good at like working with people on like realizing what they want. She does wire wrapping, and she does like string necklaces, and she does earrings, and she does, I don't know if she's done a lot of bracelets, but I'm sure she would. So, and she's wire wrapped rings as well. So her Facebook shop is, I'm not on Facebook, so I hope that's the right word. Her Facebook shop is under Rocks on a String. So I will put the link below if you're interested. So that is a rose quartz pendant with a celestite stone here on the Modern Witch Tarot pile, which will be pile 1. This is perfume. So I'm going with like, you know, feminine imagery, obviously, here with the glitter and the amethyst and the pink and the purple and all that stuff and the flowers and everything. So this is Angel perfume. Not that it really matters what type of perfume it is. It's just basically this is more the like, I don't know, like traditional femininity. Like if you kind of associate with that, or if you were brought up really rigidly within that. I mean, I know we kind of all were, but that's kind of why I chose the perfume, because it's a very kind of traditional symbol of femininity to wear girly perfume. Sorry, lots of quotation fingers in this already. Let's just set a couple of little stones next to the spell candle before we light it as well. I love this amethyst. It came in like a witch baby spell box or something. And we'll just bring this little guy out for protection. And the celestite, or selenite right here is calling to me, so let's bring that out. Okay, so we're gonna light our dog hair. Always dog hair in my life. And I've also got this is just an iPod. I'm going to do some song selections at the end with the iPod at the end of each reading. Oh, and I didn't explain, the Moon Power has, you know, poison ivy sitting on top. But this is sort of like more a person that has decided, that is really intentionally in their lives subverted all the feminine norms. And they've really diverged. Someone that sort of publicly puts forth their dark side. So somebody that might even identify with villains in like, especially like fairy tales. There's a lot of villainous women in fairy tales. So you might identify with horror movies, villains in fairy tales, things like that, villainous women. So this is kind of, if you're drawn to that sort of poison ivy archetype, that sort of femme fatale archetype, is more this pile. This one encompasses a lot of people. I feel like I'm kind of going into the themes of the piles before I've even shown you the cards, but this pile is probably going to relate to the most people. So basically, choose whichever pile your eye is drawn to. It doesn't have to be based on like kind of the themes or the figures or even the tarot decks. It's just whatever is pulling you in. But this one is going to be more universal healing and love and forgiveness. And, well, this one is a lot of that too. Anyway, whatever. Don't listen to my bullshit. Just pick whichever pile you resonate with by looking at it. Okay, let's set our intention. So our intention is going to be for healing, embracing our femininity in whatever way subverts the patriarchy and works for us personally, because there's so many different ways to do that. There's no one way to be a feminist, no one way to take care of yourself. It's highly, highly subjective. So this is just about finding a path to accepting yourself and subverting the patriarchy in the way that works for you personally, in the way that best supports yourself and other women in your life. So we're going to light this spell candle for that intention, and it'll burn probably beyond when this reading ends, but I will keep going until it burns out. And then we'll also let this incense match. Hopefully it'll burn okay. They don't always burn the best when they don't have air underneath them, you know. But we'll let it burn for as long as it's going to. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I just blew out our other candle here. Let's relight this little guy without setting my gloves on fire. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with pile 1 now. So I'll go ahead and set. As is usual, I will probably spend some time like setting up the cards, because I've got 8 cards here for each pile. So and it is going to be harder for me to grip things with these gloves on. The secret is that I didn't feel like painting my nails, and I hate when I'm watching back my videos and like my nails aren't painted. I'm so disappointed in myself when I do that. Okay, I'm going to stand up and we'll take this stuff out of the shot because we don't need that anymore. I'll sort of set this aside so you can still see it. So this is pile 1. I think I'll set the tarot cards up center here. Let's see, can we move this? We can probably move this up a little bit. So this is Modern Witch Tarot in pile number 1. I also pulled, I guess I should explain each one of the other cards. So this one is Dark Mirror Oracle. This is going to be kind of your shadow card. Just sort of like, not in a literal shadow sense, but in the sense of like sort of confronting something within yourself that maybe you're not yet ready to deal with. So it's shadow in that sense, not in the literal sense. Okay. And this is the backs of Crystal Tarot. This is just a little homemade like oracle deck that I made for myself. So this one is, so everybody's going to have one of these. I call it the Magic and Medicine of Plants Oracle because I took the images from a book called Magic and Medicine of Plants. So this is going to be sort of kind of a little keyword for your reading, a little featured plant. And Divine Feminine Oracle, I have a card for each pile. And this is going to be your like goddess, because I always have a goddess. Basically, every time I have a goddess. Mobility. Mobility's not so good with the gloves on. And then Yolanda is like so perfect that she came up. She goes with the rest of these cards so well. And then we have, this is going to sort of like how this one sort of represents sort of the dark side of what the dark side of the psyche that you need to deal with right now. This is going to represent sort of the light side. And that's from Work Your Light Oracle. And then I also chose an extra tarot card for each stack from the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. This one I use a little bit more like an oracle deck because it has these keywords. So I want to set that down at the bottom, but I feel like that doesn't work because there's not enough room. We don't want to hide the devil, do we? No. We want to look at the devil in all his glory. Okay. Okay. There we go. So this way I can kind of move these in a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's good for you guys. Yeah, okay, now everything's in there at least. Okay, so let's start by sort of talking about, let's kind of look at all the keywords and all the like phrases and things, especially on your oracle cards. So obviously in your tarot, you've got the 8 of Swords, the Devil, and 7 of Wands. So that right there already tells me your overall reading here Okay, we'll go ahead and go over. Obviously, we've got Mallow here for restoration. Restoration is the keyword on here. And then you've got, from the Dark Mirror Oracle, fragmentation. And also, I swear I didn't do this on purpose, guys. It's like, this was a very clear message. I wanted this one, the Beautiful Creatures, to kind of be the overall theme, the overall takeaway of each reading. So being that it's 4 of Swords and the keyword here is repose, tells me a lot about your reading as well. And then the Work Your Light is align your life. And a kind of a question you can ask yourself with, a question you can kind of journal with if you desire, if you're a journaler. What is not aligned or needs to change? And then we have Akalanda, who is the goddess of never not broken. Let's pick her up real quick. And again, all these cards are covered in glitter. Everything happens for my liberation. I choose to become only more love. So goddess of never not broken, this fragmented image here about aligning your life, sort of this trapped mentality of the 8 of Swords, and fragmentation and restoration. So obviously the advice for you, very straightforward. The advice is it's time to take some time out for yourself and figure out how to put your life back together, to put yourself back together. I would, of course, this can apply to most women. So this is kind of a general statement, but I think more so in this pile than the other two. You're dealing with a lot of healing from abuse, healing from internalized misogyny, which we all are, of course. But in particular, I think, at least at this point in your life, you're feeling very broken. You're feeling very trapped. I mean, there's someone tied up here. There are people chained up here. But this, if we're kind of looking at this as a past, present, future, this is really encouraging to me to see the 7 of Wands, because this is a person that has started to defend herself. This is someone that has picked up the weapon and started to fight back. The odds might be against her because she's standing alone fighting, but she's doing it. And that's an important thing. I think of this, I'm a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have a podcast that is talks about every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The link is always down below if you're interested. I talk about every episode of Buffy exactly 20 years after its original air date. So it's an ongoing project that will be lasting a few more years. But I think of this card in general, the 7 of Wands, I always think of as a Slayer card, because that is someone that is protecting. That is someone that, in a lot of decks, you even see that it's a mother protecting her young, But sometimes you see just one person by themselves protecting themselves. So I think if you can take the advice here, you can break out of your chains, break out of your restraints. And if we are going to think of the tarot aspect of this reading as being a past, present, and future, I think that this trajectory is a very good sign. The fact that you are presently in a devil space. I once heard Lindsay Mack from Tarot for the Wild Soul. I think Mack is her last name, I might be wrong, but it's Lindsay from Tarot of the Wild Soul, for the Wild Soul. She has a podcast and a website and Instagram and all that stuff. She once described the devil card as being, when the devil card shows up, it means that you're doing everything right, that you are currently exactly where you need to be, and your temptations in life are tempting you to go back to where you were. And I think you do still very much in the present feel very misaligned and broken and trapped, but you've already taken some steps of awareness to moving on. And so as you're starting to turn towards healing, which let's just go ahead and flip these, because I feel like aligning your life is something that needs to be next to Seven of Wands. A fragmentation is more like in your past here. So just visually, let's move those two cards. The devil's sort of here to say, hey, what are you doing? You're kind of like figuring things out for yourself. I don't like that. I want attention, which is why it's also like not staying where I put it. He's like, I don't like this. You're not doing what I asked you to do. This is not our agreement. Our agreement is that you stay trapped, you stay bound, you stay chained, you stay fragmented, you stay broken. But the really encouraging thing also, because whenever you're a person that might define yourself as being broken, it's easy to think that, hey, you do need to align your life. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to put yourself back together. You need to break free. But the thing about Akalanda is she has sort of subverted her broken status. She has allowed herself to stay broken. She's the goddess of never not broken. She's okay with being broken. She's accepted within herself that she is broken. And there's like this, and it's understandable. There's a lot of like feminists that whenever they see characters like, and this is a very problematic movie in a lot of ways, but characters like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, characters of people that have been abused and sort of rise up and have revenge, and their entire character story arc is about being broken, and like their motivation for why they do everything that they do is because they are broken. And a lot of feminists have a problem with that, because why can't, and we do need to have representation of all different types of women in media and pop culture and everything. We need all different storylines. But I've always really identified with those storylines of women that are not okay and they're acting out in some way. I've always identified with that, and I've always found that really empowering for myself. And I would say that might be something to explore if you're a person that likes that kind of narrative. Like, I mean, all the examples that are coming to mind are super problematic. Like Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof is a movie about like sort of revenge and, you know, I almost think allow yourself, because all of the examples that are coming to mind are super problematic. That tells me that maybe there is something for you, whether it be music, a movie, a TV show, something that like you maybe acknowledge is super problematic, but it has helped you heal in the past for whatever reason. that maybe there's something that you feel like you shouldn't like, and it's okay. I think it's okay to forgive yourself for deriving healing from wherever you can get it, as long as you're not hurting someone else actively. As long as you're not the one creating super problematic art, as long as you're not, I think it's not binary. You might like something that helps you heal, that helps you put yourself back together. That is not necessarily something that you would recommend to someone else. It's something you fully acknowledge is not altogether on the up and up. But if you can get something from it, allow yourself to engage with it in whatever way you feel safe doing. Because the focus here isn't as much on breaking out of the restraints. It's more about choosing your battles, about finding where you can begin to stand up for yourself. Because I think you're just at the beginning of this process. You are just at the point where you're acknowledging your fragmentation, your misalignment, your brokenness. And now it's time to, this is really the main focus of the reading, is this Four of Swords, is repose. It's time to sort of hibernate and decide what your next move is. Maybe spend some time reading books that you love, watching TV and movies that you love, listening to music that you love, and just allowing yourself to love what you love, allowing yourself to be where you are before you choose to take this next step. Because I think you're going to get there. You're going to be ready to protect yourself and defend yourself. But right now you're in a repose and restoration and alignment phase. And I just get the feeling that you're not fully accepting where you are. You're thinking that you should be further along in your journey of putting yourself back together. And even though that's the theme of this reading, to put yourself back together, it doesn't have to happen instantaneously. You can take however much time it takes. And you could even come out on the other end of it just saying, you know what, I'm never going to be completely healed. And that's okay, because I still can function as a broken human. I can still function on a daily basis as a broken human, and that's okay. So let's do we're just going to, basically the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go into my iPod that has, it's an old iPod mini, but I upgraded it so it has 200 gigabytes of storage in it. So it actually contains all of the music that I own. So I'm going to do a shuffle all songs to get a final message. Obviously, this is limited to music that I enjoy, but hopefully something will resonate with you. I actually do not know what that is, but if you do, then there you go. There is one of your songs. I'm going to go ahead and skip so that we have a couple of options. Duende Delirium. Delirium is a band that I used in the last Pick a Card reading, actually. This is a very spiritual band, a very, it's kind of dance music, but in the more spiritual realm of dance music. It's very healing. So again, since kind of your keywords are healing, fragmentation, and your key phrase is putting yourself back together. Even if you don't fully get put back together, maybe your stitches will always be visible, but that is okay. All right, pile number 1. I feel good about you because I think it's, even though you may feel like you're in a dark place right now, and maybe that darkness is going to kind of hang over you for a while, I still think the general message of accepting yourself is something that could be really helpful for you. Okay, so that's pile number 1. Let's pull out pile number 2. There's so much stuff over here. I'm having a hard time. Okay. So pile number 2 is if you chose this Angel perfume spray. I'll go ahead and spray a whiff of it right now, just for fun. Oh, I love this perfume so much. I'm like obsessed with it. It's kind of unhealthy. Okay, so you got your tarot cards. And we're kind of doing these tarot cards as a past, present, future kind of thing. Which I think the death card is kind of your future. In a good way, in a very good way. That's sort of the positive. And then your other cards, this is from the Dark Mirror Oracle. So this is kind of like sort of a dark side of your psyche, kind of a trapped space that you feel yourself in currently. This is actually the backs of the Crystal Tarot. This is an oracle deck that I created myself that I call Magic and Medicine of Plants Oracle. It's not like available or anything. I just collaged it together for myself. So it's your card is Holy Thistle, the Sacred Alone. And then you have a Divine Feminine Goddess card, which for you is Kali. And a Work Your Light. This is sort of the light aspect, sort of the other side of the coin from this Dark Mirror Oracle, which for you is Inner Temple, Devotion, Tune in to the portal of your heart. We're going to put that over here. The cards are all coming out crooked. And then I chose for each pile one of the cards from the Beautiful Creatures Tarot. And this is kind of be like the keyword that grounds us, that we bring ourselves back to, since each of these cards have a keyword. So you got Six of Pentacles, Generosity, which is pretty hilarious because in your present condition, we have Six of Pentacles. So this, make sure we get the whole card in there. There we go, so you can see it. Beautiful. So generosity being sort of the theme that we bring ourselves back to. So let's just sort of like talk about all of the sort of keywords and stuff here. So we've got Kali, Mother of the Universe. I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. Blinded to pain. Holy Thistle, which is the Sacred Alone. And then we've got Knight of Wands in your past position, Six of Pentacles in your current position, and Death in your future position. And also Six of Pentacles here, Generosity. And then Inner Temple, Devotion, and Tune into the portal of your heart. So this is sort of like some advice to be able to fully... This card is kind of like the advice to be able to fully integrate the best healing for your particular situation. So as this relates to kind of healing our relationship to femininity and womanhood and sort of the things that we've gone through in our lives that have brought us to this place, in a sense of like how patriarchy has like driven us to this space. For you, I see that the way that you've sort of dealt with, I feel like you've dealt with the expectations set upon you by the patriarchy and womanhood in general, the expectations placed on you as a woman, whether that be a cisgender woman, trans man, or anywhere in between. If you resonate with this image, if you resonate with any of this, I feel like you decided to become a mother and a savior to those around you. And that's the way that you try to be a woman in our society, is that you're sort of the Knight of Wands to everyone in your life. You're somebody that swoops in and saves people from themselves, kind of, at a moment's notice. I mean, you're the person that they call, and you could literally be a mother for some of you. You are, or some of you, you just are kind of the mother in your friend group. And, you know, you're somebody that feels like you should be in two places at once all the time. You are constantly giving of yourself, and it's kind of time to rebalance the gifts that you give to others with taking some for yourself. Because there's a certain level of pain, whether it be physical, mental, psychological, all three, that you have sort of blinded yourself to. You've sort of, in service of others, you have ignored things that you need to deal with in yourself. And the presence of Kali and the Death card kind of tells me that there's something that you need to cut out. And you may not even know what that is yet, or you might know exactly what that is. Some of you know exactly what that is. It could be a person, it could just be an aspect of a relationship, like maybe your relationship to your son or your daughter, or someone that you have kind of become a de facto mother to, is a little too dependent, too codependent. Maybe there's some aspect of it that, like, you have sacrificed a piece of yourself to become a mother to this person, whether that be metaphorically or literally. And it's time to change that relationship. It may, for some of you, it may be time to just completely end that relationship. For others, it might be you just need to set some boundaries and kind of decide. I feel like you're going to have to go within, spend some time alone, and really figure out, like, this inner temple here, the sacred alone, tune into the portal of your heart. So you're going to have to really do some reflection on, like, how does this need to change? And for some of you, it's literal relationships in your life. For others, it could even just be you kind of see yourself as a mother to everyone. And you have just sort of created this reputation within your family or your coworkers or your life that, like, everyone depends on you all the time. And you just want to take a little bit back for yourself. Maybe you need a Knight of Wands in your life instead of constantly being the Knight of Wands. I think you probably don't tell people when you're in pain. You don't tell people when you need something from them because you're so used to being the one that is always together and stable and helping others. One of the, like, I have like a notebook over here that you can't see with, like, some of the notes that I took for each pile. And for you, the big lesson is give back to yourself. And stability is your main keyword. I also wrote down embrace your dark side. Now that I'm looking at this, I think I want to word it differently. I think that for some of you, the image of Kali being a sort of like this, she can sometimes be portrayed as violent change. You know, she's very tower energy. She can, like, come into your life and be a destructress. She kind of, like, disrupts things. By me writing down embrace your dark side, I think what I mean by that, more than just like I literally embracing your dark side, I think that you have been a mother of generosity and light and love and full of hugs and all of these things to everyone in your life, that I think it's time to sort of embrace the other aspect of being a good mother, which is telling the truth, you know, lifting the veil off of those around you and being willing to maybe ruffle some feathers. You might have to confront a specific person in your life that you've been a mother to in some way, or just people around you in general. You're going to have to be confrontational. You're going to have to create some boundaries. And this is an aspect of yourself that you haven't embraced in the past. You've been all beauty, love, and light, and forgiveness, and all of that. And it's taken a toll on yourself. So I get that seeing the death card and seeing Kali here is going to be triggering for a lot of you. You don't, and even like seeing these like insects here is bothering some of you as well, I feel, because you see yourself as this nurturing person, and like you don't want to, you don't want the moth energy, you don't want the snake energy, you don't want the skulls and the I feel like I'm talking to my own mother right now. I don't think she watches these, but if she did, I feel like this is the pile she would have picked. You don't want to see the darkness in others or in yourself. And I posit that maybe a good thing to think about, to explore while you're spending your time alone in your inner temple, is explore how you can move through that energy. Maybe take it back to a time in your life of tower energy, a time in your life when you really went through something that disrupted your life, that you had no control over. Maybe it was a natural disaster. Maybe your house burned down. Maybe someone in your family or your close friend group died unexpectedly. When there was that energy of just total chaos and destruction, when you pulled everyone together, that's Kali energy. Like, not only is she capable of producing that kind of destruction, but she also will protect you. She's fiercely protective, and as a goddess. So there's some aspect of darkness that you can embrace both in the world around you and in yourself that will help you give back to yourself a little bit, will help you embrace change in a way that you usually don't like to do, because there's some kind of change that needs to happen, or else Kali and the death card wouldn't be here. You're obviously ignoring something because you don't want to admit that it's there, but admitting that it's there will help you move through it and will help you have better relationships in your life, because you're giving too much of yourself right now. And I think that it would be best for you to spend some time, whether you have a devotion in your life, if you have a particular faith, spend some time alone with yourself, redefining your relationship to that faith. This could even be like a church situation. Like maybe you're part of a congregation where you have really become someone that everyone turns to, and there's some aspect of it that's not working for you anymore, and you haven't really admitted it to yourself yet. There's just something blocked, something that you, especially within how you feel you should be representing yourself to others. Like, is there a role that you really feel like you should be fulfilling, and you have been fulfilling successfully for a long time, that maybe doesn't fit you anymore? There's something that you don't have all the answers yet, but you feel that something is off. And that's why you're here right now. Something is off because you're, being that the Six of Pentacles shows up twice, that card is about, at its best, that card is about balance, is about giving the same amount that you receive. It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is the Six of Pentacles. But your problem is that you are giving too much of yourself. So it's time to embrace a little bit of change, to embrace a little bit of truth and confrontation, because people have already created a habit of taking advantage of you because you let them. And that's something that a lot of women deal with. You are not alone at all. You can do this. People very much treat you the way that you insist upon being treated a lot of the time. That is not completely universal, but it is true. And there's something that you're not asking for that you need to ask for. Okay, and then as the last, I didn't realize that this was still going. Okay, I'm going to do a shuffle for you. So this is my iPod that has, I've upgraded it so it has all of my music on it. It has a 200 gigabyte card in it. And I'm just going to shuffle for you as a final message from all of my songs. It takes a second. Hello. Can we focus? Come on, honey. There we go. So we got MIA. That is kind of perfect because MIA is an artist. Come Walk With Me. I think in this case, of course, look that song up and at least read the lyrics. But I am more focused on the fact that it's MIA. MIA is a very, you know, she's a politically disruptive person. She's somebody that I almost feel like if you're one of the people watching right now that is kind of prickling at this card, and this card, you might not like MIA, but there's something that she can teach you. There's an aspect of that sort of political subversiveness, the fact that she is really creating her own path, and you have mostly tried to ignore what your own path is. You have sort of created your path in service of others. And MIA definitely did not do that. So this is just another reinforcement that it's time to be a little bit selfish. So that is your reading, pile 2. Take that Kali energy to heart, guys. She shows up for good reason. All right, that is pile 2. Let's get started with pile 3. And our candle is about to go out. But that's okay, because we still have this one. So I'm going to just let it be for now. Actually, you know what? Oh my God. You know what? Okay. I have a black tea light candle, and I feel like that's perfectly appropriate for pile 3. So I'm going to go get it, and we're going to start your reading with a black tea light. Okay. I'm back. We are... Okay. I'm going to blow this one out. Oh, now it wants to be lit. Okay. I'm actually going to even change the candle holder for you guys. Pile number 3 is special because I feel like most of you are probably pretty young, or if when you were much younger, when you were in that sort of page position in your life, you really, really carved your own path. These are like the punk kids, the goth kids, the fucking weirdos that embraced their weirdness to the full extent. This is you. You have already embraced your dark side. I kind of, with the other 2 piles today, we kind of talked about, you know, learning to embrace your dark side, but you already have. Okay, so Moon Power Tarot is your deck. And we've got Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords, and Death. And then we have Dark Mirror Oracle, which is going to be kind of the darker side of your psyche that we're talking about today. Got Obsession. This is the back of the crystal tarot. This is just a little homemade Magic and Medicine of Plants is what I call it, because I took all the images from the Magic and Medicine of Plants book. So your keyword here is strength, and it is bugleweed. Sorry, my hands are a little shaky because I'm hungry. And then you have a Divine Feminine goddess card. Yours is Yamoha, goddess of all that flows. Also sometimes called Yamaya and Yamanya, I think. I am an ocean of creative energy. I give birth to what exists within me. And then we have a work your light, which is kind of the light side, sort of the opposite side of the coin from the dark mirror. Star Mother. For many of you, you don't like seeing this image because it has very Mother Mary vibes, but it also has High Priestess vibes. If you look, we've got this like lacy moon underneath. So if you'd rather see this as a High Priestess than like a Mother Mary, do it. This is sort of the confrontation. The light side is the one that's going to be a little bit harder for you to accept. If I've got you pegged correctly, you know, I may not, for some of you especially. And then the last card, I'm picking a card from the Beautiful Creatures Tarot for each of the piles today, because they have keywords on them. So this is sort of the keyword to focus on for each of the piles. So we've got the habit, dependency, so also the Devil card. To move this stuff up a little bit because I want you to be able to see that it says the habit and dependency. Move everybody in a little bit here. So first of all, because you guys are like personality type wise, I feel like you guys are all about subverting the norms of femininity. You are very like, fuck the patriarchy. You are ready to disrupt that shit. And you have been disrupting that shit. And you have something to say. Both the presence of the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords tells me you have an idea within you that is a creative goal. The thing that's really cool about the aces, anytime basically you see like this little cloud with a hand coming out of it, this is supposed to be kind of a gift from beyond, a gift from the divine, if you think of it that way, which most of you don't. Most of you watching this are not about the divinity thing. And that's totally fine. This is telling me that you have something to share with the world. Creative energy. Give birth to what exists within me. Like your overall message here is you have something to say. You have something to bring forth. Whatever that project is, you've already done a lot of the work of your identity that maybe the other piles today are still struggling with. You are still finding yourself. There are aspects of yourself that you don't want to face yet, just like all of these readings today. But for the most part, you really define yourself by, you see yourself as someone who's willing to confront the dark aspects of yourself, to confront the dark aspects of others. You are willing to be different, to be a little bit confrontational. And this is a very good thing. You are able to embrace change. I almost think, because I've been using this as kind of like a past, present, future thing, I almost think that these cards are kind of opposite. Like whatever, it doesn't matter. These are kind of ephemeral. Like for some of you, this is a past, this is a future, this is a past, this is a future. They're kind of all together. Like this isn't, I've been using it as a past, present, future spread for the other piles, but for you, I think that matters less. I think what matters here is that you are willing to embrace change and confront change in others. And you have an idea and a goal that is just beginning. You are at the beginning of your path in a lot of ways. Death is sort of the beginning of a lot of things in the major arcana. Ace of Swords, it's the distillation of the sword suit and the very beginning of it. Same with Ace of Wands being the distillation of the wand suit and the beginning of it. It's sort of a divine aspect. You are at the beginning of your journey. You haven't birthed that creative thing within you yet, but you're getting ready to. There's something that and there's a dark side and a light side to this, but you've got a habit and an obsession. They could be the same thing. They could be two different things, but there's two ways of doing this. You can either channel that habit and obsession into a creation of a beautiful thing, like whatever that is for you. Like if you're writing a book, or you're creating a tarot deck, or you're making art in some way or another, whatever it is that you are thinking about doing, you can channel your obsession into a beautiful creative venture. But you can kind of that can go in one of two ways. It could either be channeled into something great that you bring forth in the universe that is really wonderful, or you can fall into the dark side of that and kind of tumble down a rabbit hole of, a lot of creative people go that route, right? You think differently. You're not like everyone else. All of us have real divine essence of who we are, but you in particular are willing to admit, you're willing to display what makes you different out in the world. And that, I feel like you're young. Most of you listening to this are young, or young at heart, or you're in a phase right now where you're really reconnecting with the younger version of yourself that felt more subversive, that felt more willing to be different and be out there. You're at the beginning of your journey. Even if you're in your 60s, you can begin again. The presence of the death card being sort of like a divine change, and 2 aces means that you're ready to move forward. You're ready to make that change, to create that, whatever that thing is that is held within you that you haven't brought forth into the world yet. You haven't manifested yet. And I almost think this was a hard one. I pulled several of the Work Your Light cards for you, and none of them seemed to work. With the other ones, I just kind of picked the first card. With all of the rest of the piles and all of the rest of the cards I chose today, it was just kind of like the first thing that came out. But for you, this Work Your Light deck just didn't even really want to talk to you. And that, and by that, I mean that like every message that came through was one that I felt like you didn't want to hear. So I leave you with this one, Star Mother. How can you mother yourself? So there's a certain level of nurturing yourself. There's a certain level of confrontation with yourself. You're really good at confronting others and confronting the status quo and confronting society. But there's something that you don't want to admit about yourself. And it might be that you are a little bit sweeter than you like other people to think you are. And I highly identify with this myself, being a goth kid. But you have this incredible strength within you. You have this incredible foundation. You've got really good ideas. As long as you can keep that individuality and be able to not fall into the dark side of creativity, as long as you can continue to hold that individuality within yourself, continue to display it, continue to use your creativity to display it in whatever way works for you in particular. You've got, I don't even really have any advice for you except whatever that creative thing is that you're thinking about doing, do it. Do it. Put it out there. Continue putting yourself out there because you know how to do it and you are an inspiration to other people because you're deeply weird and deeply intelligent and deeply creative. So put yourself out there. Do it. But also forgive yourself a little bit. Like not everything is going to be sunshine and light. There's certain things that really tempt you. And the Devil card in general, I said this earlier in the reading, but the Devil card shows up when you're doing everything right and it's trying to tempt you back into old habits. So I feel like that's not something you're really thinking about at the moment, but whenever you see it show up, just acknowledge it. Just be like, oh, I see you over there, devil. I know, we're friends. It's cool. Don't worry about it. I got this. And move on. Just acknowledge him and let him move on, you know? Because you're ready to bring forth your ideas and you're just at the beginning of your journey. And your obsession can really be channeled into good things as long as you don't let it go to the bad place, you know? What else do I have written down for you? Transformation, beginnings, embrace your light side, finding yourself, creativity. Yeah, I think there's a certain level of being willing to embrace the parts of yourself that might make you look more normal. And that's something that I need to tell myself because, like, I am not comfortable with normal, and I am not normal. But there are things that I do that are very basic bitch. Like, I sit around and watch Netflix. I don't spend a whole lot of time outside of my house. I present very hyper feminine a lot of the time, even though I am all about subverting gender norms and embracing whatever aspect of you, but I'm also hyper girly. You know, there's certain aspects of myself that I've had to reconcile with that make me seem more like a basic bitch. And that, I think that's a confrontation for you as well, to allow yourself to be whoever you are, even though sometimes there are some aspects of us goth children that, you know, we like glitter too, some of us, and that's okay. Like I did with the others, we're gonna pick, I'm shuffling my entire iPod, like 100 gigabytes of music. So we're gonna see what your final message is. It does take a second. Cry Me a River by Dinah Washington. Okay, so I feel like there's also some really righteous anger in a lot of you that we didn't really talk about. And that's okay. That's good. Funnel that righteous anger into whatever creation you're bringing forth in the world. You are in a unique position to really change people's minds about a lot of things. Like, I feel like of all the piles here today, you have the most energy right now to do things that really subvert the patriarchy in our culture. And you seem to be the least damaged by the patriarchy. Like, you haven't let it affect you. And if you can stay on this path of not letting it affect you, you can help others heal through just, and I don't see you as like being a literal healer, but I see you as just by creating the example of being your super weird self and bringing your ideas out and sharing your opinions and really subverting through your own life and your own individuality. It's going to create an example for other people, and they're going to be really inspired by you. So keep doing what you're doing and channel that energy into creation. And that's it for pile number 3. So thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope that you are going to have an awesome, I'll probably put this up the 30th, which is the day that I'm recording this. So I hope you have a great, sorry, I just blacked out there for a second. It's time for lunch. I hope you guys have a great New Year's, if that is a thing that you celebrate. And I will see you guys probably in the next decade, in the next year. I will see you then. Bye. I mean, and by probably, I just mean my next video is probably not going to be till 2020. Like, I'm definitely going to be here. So have a great one, you guys.